Welcome to the Culture is Healing podcast, brought to you by Checking In. At Checking In, we create customized wellness tools for First Nations communities, centering each nation's language, culture, and traditions to support healing and well-being for their people. To learn more about our work at Checking In, please visit our website at checkingin.co. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy this episode. Haichka. Ichual, Antapat, Hokoletsat, Anitstaminis, Halalt, Kowitson, Lyaxon. Hello, everyone. My traditional name is Hokoletsat. My English name is George Harris Jr., and I'm calling today from my home here in Staminis. This is the community that my father is from. This is the community that my mother married into. And this is the community that my siblings and I were raised in. I belong to George Harris Sr. and my late mother, Sylvia Harris. And my grandparents from my father's side of my family are the late Lawrence and Irene Harris. My grandparents from my mother's side of my family are the late Bernard and Nora George. My familial connections to Halalt come from my mother, Sylvia, and my grandmother, Nora. My connections to Kowitson come from my grandfather, Bernard. Through both sides of my family, I have familial connections to Lyaxon. The name Hokolitsa is the name that's been passed down from generation to generation throughout my family. My father carries that name. He's passed that name on to myself and a few other family members. Thank you all so much for taking the time to come and listen. Once again, my name is Hokolitsa. I am the host of the Culture is Healing podcast. And today I have the honor and privilege of being able to sit down and have a meaningful conversation with my friend Colleen. And so I just love for the opportunity for all of you to be introduced to Colleen. Aichka.
Squel and Colleen Mullin. I currently live in Duncan, British Columbia, which is on the unceded traditional territory of the Cowichan people. I am a third and fourth generation settler, family coming from Ireland and from Prussia, which is now Ukraine, but with German ancestry. My mother's name is Wendy Mullin, and she lives in New Brunswick. And my father's name is Lloyd Mullin, and he's also from New Brunswick. Thank you for having me.
Haichka. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time, Colleen. I really appreciate sitting down with you, and we've had the opportunity over the last few years for us to be able to connect. You had the opportunity to work in my community here in Staminis, and you've had the opportunity to meet my family, my sisters and my father especially. And I just wanted to get your perspective on your work in education and the work that you've been able to witness in this time. We understand that culture is fairly new for a lot of people to observe. And I know for me in my time, and when I graduated high school, there wasn't any land acknowledgements happening. There were no welcoming to the territories. There was none of that kind of stuff happening. And even to the point where I had a teacher in my school had some very negative remarks towards me because I wore a cedar grad cap. And, he had mentioned, to me, he was like, oh, that's a stupid hat. You're wearing a dead tree on your head. You know how dumb you look. And he was like saying all these horrible things. And, it's just so it was so disheartening, um, to see all these
Mhm.
types of things that we had to go through. And now in more modern days, like having to I had the opportunity to see that shift. I didn't see it um in the firsthand aspect because I'm, not in the school system. But as I got to witness, like, my older nieces graduating, um
Mhm.
having them to be able to see, the land acknowledgement taking place from the staff, and then being welcomed into the territory from, a community member, most likely the chief, or, my
Mhm.
sister works in the school district as well, and are in the nation, and has really close ties with the school district. And seeing, just recently, going to my niece Annika's grad this year, and seeing, like, the Tsinghua dancers were there, performing. And so for me, this was, like, so amazing to witness, because I had a different experience. And I
Mhm.
just wanted to hear, what that has been like for you to witness that shift, and into more cultural awareness and more cultural sensitivity in our local schools.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Um, there has been such a huge transition or
Mm,
a change. I've been in education since 2000, so 25 years. And it's been a beautiful journey. I have been very lucky to have had multiple opportunities over my 25 years of being a part of many Indigenous communities. I started off my first year in Saskatchewan, Ontario, in a Carrier or Cree community in Saskatchewan First Nation. And the lessons, and the teachings, and experiences that I gained there, and witnessing the power of of cultures, healing, and language. I mean, my first year, such an interesting way to start a career, because that's my first introduction in education,
mhm,
was going on the land and harvesting a moose traditionally as a way of teaching biology 12. Like, that's how I
mhm,
started my career. And so when I went into more colonial education style in Fort St. James, BC, I came in with that experience, and it's profoundly impacted how I've approached education. Um, I mean, in Fort St. James, they were already starting to have, it was on the Carrier Nations, in near on the Cosley First Nations, where the school was near, and on their traditional lands. And we were already starting to find ways of bringing Carrier language into the classrooms then. And then you fast forward that to my time at Alexander Elementary in Cowichan, where the second language was Hulkaminam, taught by Claudia Sylvester. I mean,
mm,
it's gone from this, like, how can we do this? This is really powerful, and the students and the community and the elders are saying we want this, to actually having it as part of the foundation of a K through 7 curriculum. Like, it's powerful. And now having Indigenous graduation ceremonies as the first way of celebrating our youth
mm,
graduating is powerful. So it's been a beautiful journey. We have a long ways to go
mhm,
um, in unlearning and relearning ways of that we're supporting education for our SMNAM. But it's come a long ways. Yeah.
mm. Oh, thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's really encouraging to see too. I know, um, we had a nation grad, when I graduated high school. And then there was a school district Indigenous grad, but it was like nothing like anything that we have now. Like, there wasn't any performances taking place, and
Hmm.
there was very little interaction with, like, the land acknowledgments and all that stuff. And so it's really amazing to see that shift.
Hmm.
Really appreciate you sharing your what you've had the opportunity to witness. And yeah, and it's really good to see. And I hope we continue to trend in the right direction. And encouraged to hear. I had the opportunity to work um, as a designated band rep for my nation, and I'm hearing some of the foster parents who are caring for our children had, you know, been bringing our children back into our daycare down in
Mm,
our nation, and um, hearing that the foster parents were like, "Oh, is there any chance that we can get any of the songs that they're singing down at the daycare?"
mm,
And they were like, "We don't know any of these songs. These children come back home singing them. We want to like keep encouraging them to engage in the culture." And I was just like, "Whoa, this is
mm,
cool! Like, this is going beyond the classroom." And it
mm,
was just so encouraging to see and so encouraging to hear. People willing to open their homes to learning some language and learning some culture. So that's really,
mhm.
really
Yeah,
amazing. And I think it's
yeah.
really good times for all of this to start happening. No time like the present.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. And culture is such medicine, especially when you speak of children in care. They need all the medicine they can get, and so how can we keep connecting them to family and their culture as a medicine to heal and to grow and to be powerful? Smanam, that when they graduate and go into adulting, they have such powerful dignity and respect for themselves and for the others around them. There's been neat work done in Cowichan, how they've taken over jurisdiction of their children and youth in care, and they're
Mm-hmm.
actually changed the name and it's not, they're not even calling them children and youth in care because they're just with family.
Mm.
That's powerful. And then you have Kwame Lalem doing the same thing. The majority of their work in Kwame Lalem is supporting families
Mm-hmm.
and keeping culture and language alive. Like it's a big shift. It's beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm just gonna pause it for 1 second here. Thank you for sharing, Colleen. As we're taking a look into, some of the, amazing opportunities for cultural engagement for, not only community members, but for settlers as well. Um, has there been any cultural activities that you've had the opportunity to witness and partake in that hold a special place in your heart?
Oh, George, many. I've have been deeply grateful for being invited into many sacred spaces and have witnessed many different um, community events and celebrations, and
Mm-hmm.
healing ceremonies. I've had the great honor of being a part of a couple of sweats
Mm.
up north and in the Thompson Okanagan area. Different versions of brushing off with cedar across different communities, smudging ceremonies. I've been um, very honored to have witnessed or been a guest in a variety of ceremonies. It's been a very beautiful journey for sure. Um, Witnessing, if we're focusing on youth and healing, and witnessing youth, seeing the difference between youth being in a classroom and then participating in a cultural event, the shift and the change in those youth, they stand taller and prouder, they
Mm.
sing louder, or they might sing when you haven't heard them speak much. It's like a transformation. You can see the medicine working,
Mm.
and the next step really is, how do we not have to have that as a this and then that? Like, how do we have that medicine happening all day long?
Mm.
Recently, when I had the great privilege of working with your family in Staminas,
Mm.
um, it's just, I can't even, it, it still moves me emotionally to think about how that structure of the day happened every day. Like
Mhm.
every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all staff, including the superintendent, would start off the day with Hulkaminum lessons.
Mm.
Like we started off with medicine every day to really ground all educators across the spectrum, even daycare. We would start the day off with that language medicine, and really
Mhm.
I felt that really grounded me in the why. Like, why am I here today?
Mhm.
And some teachings that I've had in the past was like about hanging up your worries
Mhm.
on the hook before you walk in the door, hanging up all your troubles so you come in with the right exqualin, the right good feelings
Mhm.
into the space. And I felt that starting off with Hulkaminum language every morning helped with that. And then, as the students, Nam came off the bus, we all gathered in the gym after eating amazing breakfast. We
Mhm.
would gather in the gym in a circle, and we were led by an elder and knowledge holders and sing some songs, and there was drumming. And we started off the day together in community in a circle. Like that just took, I mean, years ago, we started talking about the power of having a circle in the classroom to start off the day,
Mhm.
to really ground each other and to see each other and to be vulnerable to each other so we could start off the day in a safe way,
Mhm.
and let go of any leftover worries that we might be carrying with us. Those have been teachings for years that we've been incorporating into our classrooms. But to see that as a school wide,
Mhm.
like it was just powerful. And everyone would come, most students would sing, and if not throughout the year, more and more students would sing. That was
Mhm.
powerful. And then at the end of the week, we had singing and drumming in the gym for everyone to come, even community. And like your dad would be there, and so
Mhm.
many different community members would come. Parents that are coming up and picking up their kids at the end of the day would come early. And students were all on the floor dancing. Their synchro dancers would be teaching little kids. And it was just medicine. It was
Mhm.
beautiful. And it really, it's been so powerful for me. Like, how do we, what do we bring into education that's appropriate,
Mhm.
that's led by community, so that we don't have to have that separation of classroom and then culture? How do we just have it as all,
Mhm.
right? And that's where the Indigenous ways of knowing First Peoples principles of learning, that kind of guide education in British Columbia. That's where really honoring those calls really
Mhm.
comes into place.
Mhm. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I think that's amazing, and I absolutely loved the opportunity to partake in the jam sessions that were happening at
Mm-hmm.
our school, and I was lucky enough when you were there, and you gave me that permission to bring my work and my people to the jam sessions as well, and that was transformative for how I was able to function in my role. I had the opportunity to extend invitations to the foster parents, the children that we had in care who aren't living in our communities. They don't have that opportunity to connect to community and culture, and
Mm-hmm.
so this was an opportunity for me to welcome those people in, and also I had the opportunity to invite some of the staff from the delegated agency in the area, Kwamalalum, to come down and to
Mm-hmm.
witness the work and to see, like, and I had some very powerful conversations with some workers and saying, this is why we're here, to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that our children are engaging in community and culture, and they get to be with their cousins, and they get to sing and dance together, engage in
Mm-hmm.
community,
Mm-hmm.
culture,
Mm-hmm.
connection, how important it is. And so, yeah, that was really, really powerful for me to be able to welcome people into that space. And for a while there, it really seemed like it was becoming, like you were saying, those parents were coming to get their children earlier so that they can come and partake in the singing, and it felt like it was becoming more of a community event
Mm-hmm.
rather than a
Mm-hmm.
school event, and that was
Mm-hmm.
that was powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think too, in that same breath, seeing the way that the school had honored, some of the staff who had moved on. Like I,
Yeah.
immediately thought of like Cameron Park,
Mm-hmm.
when he made his decision to move to the school district, but he was honored in a really amazing way. You know, who had the opportunity for my father to speak on his last day of
Mm-hmm.
work in our nation, and we sang extra loud the Stiminis Mestimo for Cameron that day, and we
Mm-hmm.
all had taken pictures with him after, and it was just a powerful opportunity to show and share our love through
Mm-hmm.
cultural ways of being, that songs. And so yeah, I think those are amazing things that came to mind as you shared your
Mm-hmm.
story of
Mm-hmm.
how to bring culture into the learning space, and it's not separate, it could be together. And yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah. It Yes. And how powerful is that for students to be honoring those in such a, we just don't do that enough in traditional schools. Honoring,
Hmm.
I mean, I found at where I was at last year, it was really beautiful how those teachers that were retiring,
Hmm.
the grad class would walk them out at the end of the ceremony to really honor them and all of the service and support and years of love that they've given, to
Hmm.
honor that as the grads walk them out.
Hmm.
And it was like almost like a fight from the grad class of who could walk out who. Like, it was just beautiful. And that just really connected me back to Staminas about, yes, that and more of that, to
Hmm.
really honor that work. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love that.
And what I also found in Staminas and in other cultural practice, it's also honoring the ancestors and
Hmm.
all of the work that has happened since time of immemorial. Like, it's really honoring all of those who have passed
Mm.
and all of their work and how they're still with us, and how do we continue to honor them, and what
Mm.
I learned in Stewie's culture, and feed them and clothe them and honor them. And then also the future generations.
Mhm.
I think of the lessons that I've had locally about the clam gardens, and
Mhm.
how it's not the work that's done in the clam gardens isn't to feed you today, it's to feed generations down the road. I
Mhm.
mean, that's how often do we think nowadays of future generations? When we're just trying to survive today,
Mm.
and get to paycheck, and how important it is to pause and to really think, how are we preparing for our loved ones that haven't been born yet, our great
Mhm.
great grandchildren? How are we preparing for them? Like, those are powerful lessons.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and
Mm,
that's so amazing to hear too, because like there's such a big push in modern society for preservation, and we're
mm,
doing that work right now to preserve things like those clam gardens, to ensure that the generations coming after have that opportunity to be able to live like we are, and hopefully better than we are
mm,
today. They can
mm,
they can have a better tomorrow. So
mm-hmm,
that's beautiful, and thank you for sharing that.
mm. Thank you, Hachika.
Yeah, and so in your time, you've had a lot of opportunities to engage with a lot of knowledge keepers, and even
Mm.
have some teachings that have been shared with you. I was going to ask if there had been any teachings that have been shared with you that you carry with you, and hold a special place in your heart.
Oh, wow, so many. It's really, this journey is so profoundly personalized for each person.
Hmm.
And as a settler, there has been a lot of unlearning that I've had to do, and that's and relearning. And um, wow, that's a really big question. I think some of my most profound learnings um, have been um, the power of story.
Mm.
I've spent many hours with elders, sitting and listening and hearing stories. And in the moment, I'm like, I'm not quite sure how that story connects right now. And
Mm.
then with a day later or a week later, it'll be like, whoa, mic drop. Like
Mm.
all of a sudden, it's just this moment of clarity. And that's how stories, I feel, are meant to be. Like you will understand it when the time is right and when you're ready. And because the stories are so deep and meaningful and connected to nurture and things around you, you get reintroduced to those stories over and over again. And all of a sudden, it's like, I get it now. And then the learning deepens even more. And it becomes part of who you are, the power of story. And I always wonder, how can I, as a school leader, how can I teach that? Like, how can we encompass more story into education?
Mm.
And not just, I mean, there's purpose in place for worksheets. I mean, you got math is numbers. You got to practice math. But
Mm.
how can we incorporate story into math to really deepen that so that all students get to experience that aha moments
Mm.
to deeper that learning, right? Like that's been so powerful for me. Um, Importance of listening, um, like actually listening and listening to understand and not just listening to get through a couple of minutes until the talking's done, like truly listening, um, and taking the time to understand the purpose of the time together. Um, and so that someone feels honored and seen in your conversation. Um, I found that so powerful, even in Staminas, when we started doing almost like little restorative justice circles, Staminas version, in bringing together family and community in working through situations, and healing and growing together.
Mm.
Like just giving everyone the opportunity to speak, but also really honoring the voice of everybody in the circle
Mm.
is so important. And I carry that with me. Like I'm constantly reminding myself, am I here? Am I present? That task is not important right now because you're sitting with George Harris Jr. and you're going to, that this is his valuable time and you need to
Mm.
honor that. And nothing else matters outside of that. Nothing else is more important than this time. And some people say that I spend too much time in conversations, like you're in that office forever. I'm like, yes, I was.
Mm.
The conversation is going to end when it was ready to end. Like
Mm.
other things can wait, because other people will get that time honored as well. And I found that that's changed my relationships with people, for the good, because I'm not rushing
Mm.
through things. I'm really honoring that time. Um, and that's another a profound lesson. Um, I think also another lesson is just about my own personal journey. I spend a lot of time in the forest,
Mm.
running and hiking and mountain biking. And I, as a settler, I feel like I've grown up with almost like a superiority to the forest. Like I am a human and you are a thing, and I will cut you down or use you as I need, and really shifting that into this relationship with the nature around me. And my life journeys, with many multiple communities has really taught me that we are one. We are, together with nature. And to honor that, I really try to, like, what is the name of that plant? Like,
Mm.
what is your purpose? Where are you from, plant? Like, name that plant. Like, oh, you're an ostrich fern. You're food. Oh, and the Musqueam Nation has used you for this in the past, and really honoring all of the living things around me,
Mm.
as a reciprocal respect. And I really take that with me as well. There's so many lessons. Yeah. Um, One that I've learned the hard way is not about us without us.
Mm.
Um, I found that I really I would like I'm almost like a person that wants to go in there and fix things and solve problems. And um, when you're going through a healing journey, and reawakening culture and language, you, as a settler, I'm not, my job is not to go in and fix. That's wrong. That's dangerous. I am to go, if I'm invited into a space, into a community, I'm to listen and to seek direction, and not to do things and create things and build things, because I think it's the right thing to do. It's not my job to do that. If I'm going to be a true upstander or ally, I need to go in with an open heart, with
Mm,
no ulterior motive, and just really like, okay, what do you need me to do?
mm,
And listen, and follow the direction of the elders. And definitely not about us without us. It's so powerful.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. That's amazing. Yeah, I don't know. As we're kind of, I was thinking about, even some of my own opportunities and hearing and seeing how, you've worked, especially in my nation, meeting people where they're at was something that I appreciate about you.
Mm.
Um, I was thinking back to even my own time and, some of those changes. I had, like words of affirmation was something that like came to mind and then made me think of how you conduct yourself. I know when I was in high school, I was in a science class and um, I was doing okay, not great, but not terrible either. And I remember in that same teacher who made the comment about my grad
Oh.
cap was obviously a fairly racist individual, and this was pre-grad stuff, and so like I was in his class, and I needed this class for continuing on and furthering my
Mm-hmm.
education, so I had to take it, and um there wasn't any other classes I could have been taking at this time, and so I had no other choice. So I had him as a teacher, and it was not a great experience. And so I was having some difficulties, and I put my hand up and was asking for help, and um, kind of like under not even under his breath, but he was like, "Oh, of course it's one of you that's asking for help," and I was just like, "Oh God, here we go
Mm.
again! Like can't do anything, even asking for help is too much for this guy." So I was just like, and I was sitting next to my cousin, and I closed my books and zipped up my stuff, and I just said, "Hey, come on, let's go." I was like,
Mm.
I can't stay here anymore, and I can't leave you here by yourself.
Mm.
I was like, so we need to go. And so she got her stuff, and so her and I got up and we left, and I went right down to the principal's office, and I was very fortunate enough that I walked past our ABED room
Mm.
in my high school, and she could probably tell through how heavily I was walking. I was fairly mad and upset.
Mm.
And she just came out and she's just like, "Hey, George, like, what's going on?" And I was just like, "Oh, like, I can't deal with this right now." Like, I was
Mm.
like, I was saying a lot of profanities, and this racist guy is just being terrible. And so she just like leaned back into her classroom and just said, said to the EA, said, "Can you just, watch the room for a little while?"
Mm.
She came down to the principal's office with me.
Oh, wow.
And so I explained what's going on. And so she helped like meet me where I was at. I was lucky enough that she was a science teacher. So
Mm.
we all came to a compromise. This teacher, the racist teacher, didn't, he was like, "No, if he can't learn in my classroom, then he can't learn anywhere." And I was just like, "Oh God, here we go." And I was just like,
Mm.
so the ABED teacher was like, "You know what? How about he sits in with your lesson? Once you're done talking, he can just come to my classroom, the ABED room,
Mm.
and he'll do his work here
Mm.
because obviously he's not getting the help that he needs where he's at. How about we try and help him get through?" the classroom instead of trying to hold him down. And I was almost like crying, almost crying
Mm.
now saying it, because this teacher was one of the first experiences in that school that really lifted me up in my education journey. And it was powerful. And,
Wow.
and I was lucky enough to walk alongside you in like a restorative justice meeting, and it was powerful.
Mm.
You know, we had the opportunity to sit there and talk about this young person where, sure, they were having a hard time, but every single adult in that room
Mm-hmm.
had the opportunity to say, "We believe in you. We love you. We care for you. We want nothing but the best for you." And I was just like, after leaving that meeting, I was just like, wow, like, this kid's got it pretty good. They
Yeah.
like where there's, and I think there had to have been, I don't know, probably
Mm.
10, 12 of us in that room there to try and like help and support and encourage and show love. And it was really cool to see that restorative justice
Mm-hmm.
piece and showing
Mm-hmm.
how much of a change there is from when I was in school to now, and to show, you know, we're taking that time to meet people where they're at, to show that love, respect, and show that, you know, specifically in our meeting together that I got to witness, like, it was done in like a cultural way, like it
Mm-hmm.
was beautiful. And so, like, kudos to
Mm-hmm.
you, my friend, for helping lead that process. And it was really cool. And so, yeah, I just raise my hands to you for
Mm-hmm.
that work and allowing me to be a part of that. And thanks, yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, Colleen, for allowing me to share my stories and to share my heart, and you know, share my experiences. And really encouraged to see the future generations have someone who really does care about them. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, as we're taking a look into our you know, final moments here in our recording, in our podcast episode, you know, if you had any words of advice for our listeners on the podcast, what would you want to share with them?
Wow. Um, Words of advice. I feel, I feel, well, I feel strongly that it is so important for us to go into community, to be a part of community.
Mm,
If there is a public cultural event happening in the community, go.
mm,
See the students dancing, see their families, witness the magic, the healing.
mm,
Um, Meet the elders, meet the chief, meet council, be present, ask questions, learn, and invite community into the school. Constantly ask them what can make it a safe space, because it's not up to me to say that a space is safe. It's up to the community to say
mm,
that schools are safe, that your office is safe, the front desk is safe, the school grounds are safe, the school bus. It's
mm,
up to the community to say, up to the students, up to the parents, up to the elders, up to the guardians. So, in order to hear that, you have to build that trust.
mm,
Um, you have to collect those invitations, and you have to show up
mhm,
and go in and be present in community, to learn, to truly learn, to feel, um, to understand, and then to listen,
mm,
and then continue to create that bridging between school and community, so that soon that you don't even notice that there's a difference between the two, because
mhm,
it's so tight knit, which is so beautiful. In Steaminess, it was such a community place and space that you sometimes couldn't tell the difference.
mhm,
You knew that this was a learning space, but there were so many community members already also learning in that space. It was profound. So I would say listen, but get out into community and invite community and listen. and then do what you say you're going to do and prioritize that over all of the other things. Prioritize that and honor that, whatever that work is that has been asked of you. I would say another advice is that change takes time, and it can't be rushed. Healing can't be rushed. Truth and reconciliation can't be rushed. This process has to move at the speed of trust. It's going to take as long as it's going to take because we can't rush it, because we can't get it wrong. We have to do it right. And we all have to be together in the process. It's going to take time, and you can't rush it. And I feel like that's a thing that I battle against as unlearning. Is I constantly am wanting a solution to happen now. Like, why can't we do this now? Let's fix this now. Let's do this action now. But yet not all the people have had a voice yet. There hasn't been enough processing time or reflection time, and all of that takes time, and you have to give the time. And that amount of time is going to vary depending on the thing. So it's so important to give the time. Those would be two big pieces of advice. And just really, honestly, not about us without us. Like, not creating any initiatives because you think it's a good idea. Like, it has to be the right decision based on all the important work that's happened before, the lessons that the elders have to bring us. We have to listen, and we cannot do any work without the nation. It's not my job to do the work. It's to listen and to show up. Yeah.
Hajka. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing those words of advice, and I hope that this resonates with all of our listeners. And thank you, Hajka, for taking the time to come and sit in circle with me today. And I really appreciate your time and the relationship that you and I have established together. I will always forever cherish your friendship, and thanks for taking that time to build those meaningful relationships in community. And I always love those opportunities that we get to run into each other from time to time. And you get to see my family and my father, and that's really amazing. This work that you've done has gone beyond the walls of the school, and I just encourage you to keep on performing admirably, my friend. You're doing amazing work. So we need more allies like you out there, my friend.
I feel the same about you. I cherish every moment. Yeah. And we'll be closer together next year. I'm really excited about my next school year, and I'm going to be seeing many friends that I haven't seen in a while. So I'm really excited. Yeah. I hope our paths cross multiple times.
Oh, most definitely.
Short span of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all so much for taking the time to come and sitting and listening to mine and Colleen's conversation. And thank you all so much. And, I hope to catch you all in the next episode. Hajka. Hey,
Hajka.